Imagine paying $27 for a dusty old manuscript, and then discovering it's a 700-year-old original of one of the most important documents in human history. That's what happened at Harvard University when the historical find was shared with the world on May 15, 2025. The story rewrites the rules on forgotten history, a chance discovery, and the enduring power of the rule of law. Welcome to That's Life, I Swear. This podcast is about life's happenings in this world that conjure up such words as intriguing, frightening, life-changing, inspiring, and more. I'm Rick Barron, your host. That said, here's the rest of this story. It happened approximately a year after the end of World War II, when a modest purchase was made, that the dusty old piece of paper revealed itself as an extraordinary historical treasure, transforming a once overlooked manuscript in Harvard Law School's library into a document of international significance. The faded water-stained parchment acquired for just $27.50 in 1946, which would be approximately $500 in today's currency, has now been authenticated as the original 1300 version of Magna Carta, not a mere copy as previously believed. This remarkable discovery adds an eighth manuscript to the small collection of surviving originals from that particular year. Now let that moment sink in your head, if you will. The significance will be revealed later in this episode. So, a chance encounter in history. David Carpenter, professor of medieval history of King's College London, recalls the December 2023 moment when he made the stunning realization. He said, "I never in all my life expected to discover a Magna Carta." Well, who would? The discovery occurred during a routine research for a book project. Professor Carpenter was at his home in southeast London, carefully examining Harvard Law School's digitized archives when he opened a file labeled HLS MS 172, the catalog designation for Harvard Law School manuscript 172. Carpenter explained, "I get down to 172 and it's a single parchment sheet of Magna Carta. And I think, oh my God, this looks to me for all the world because I read it like an original." The excitement was overwhelming, and Carpenter wasted no time when he immediately contacted Nicholas Vincent, professor of medieval history at the University of East Anglia. While working in the Brussels library at the time, Vincent received Carpenter's message asking, "What do you think that is?" It didn't take long for Vincent to say, "I wrote back within seconds to my friend, saying, 'You and I both know what that is.'" Converting initial excitement into absolute certainty required rigorous examination. Harvard Law School arranged for the document to be photographed under ultraviolet light and subjected to spectra imaging, a sophisticated technique capable of revealing features invisible to the naked eye. The professors compared the Harvard manuscript with the 6 previously known originals from 1300. Multiple factors confirmed its authenticity. The identical texts, consistent scribal characteristics, including a distinctive significant capital E at the beginning of the word Edwardus, and the characteristically elongated letters in the first line. "It's the best thing that could happen to a librarian," said Amanda Watson, assistant dean at Harvard Law School's library. "This is our daily work to digitize things, to preserve things, to save things, to open things up for people like David Carpenter." While the document had occasionally been displayed as part of larger collections, its true significance remained unrecognized until now. The library has not determined whether it will make the Magna Carta more accessible to the public following this discovery. However, Watson indicated she can't imagine the institution would sell it. Jonathan Zittrain, professor of international law and chair of the Harvard Law School Library, noted the significance of such historical artifacts in the American context. He said, and I quote, "In the United States, having things that are 700 years old is special," end quote. Now, this was quite a bargain of the century, I would think. The manuscript's market value is difficult to imagine. Though it represents one of history's most remarkable bargains, by comparison, another 710-year-old version of Magna Carta sold at auction in 2007 for $21 million, which respectively make Harvard's $27.50 acquisition price astonishing. The document's journey to Harvard followed a winding path through British history. Harvard Law School purchased it from London legal school dealer Sweet and Maxwell, who acquired the manuscript at an auction in December of 1945. The auction catalog incorrectly listed it as a copy with the wrong date, 1327. It sold for £42, approximately one-fifth of the average annual income in post-war Britain, on behalf of Foster Maynard, an Air Force Vice Marshal who had distinguished himself as a fighter pilot during World War I. Air Vice Marshal Maynard had inherited the document from the family of Thomas and John Clarkson, prominent British abolitionists who campaigned against the slave trade from the 1700s. Now here's a little bit of history. Magna Carta is Latin for Great Charter. How many of you knew that? I didn't. The document is a foundational document in developing Western legal traditions and concepts of liberty. While it has sometimes been invoked in dubious historical grounds, it has evolved into a global symbol representing the importance of fundamental freedoms, including habeas corpus and protection against arbitrary governmental power. One of its most celebrated passages declares, "No free man shall be seized or imprisoned, or stripped of his rights or possessions, or outlawed or exiled, or deprived of his standing in any way, nor will we proceed with force against him, or send others to do so, except by the lawful judgment of his equals, or by the law of the land." The Charter's history begins in 1215, when rebellious barons forced the unpopular King John of England, immortalized in folklore as Bad King John, to agree to a series of written concessions, placing limits on royal authority. Though John later repudiated the document, his son Henry III issued amended versions, with the final iteration appearing in 1225. Henry's son Edward I subsequently confirmed the 1225 version in 1297 and 1300. So let's put this in simple terms. The Magna Carta said, the king is not above the law. People have basic rights that the government must respect. No one should be jailed or punished without a fair trial, and that taxes can't be taken without the consent of the people, except through their representatives. So what is it about the Magna Carta that makes it special, and more so with American history? Well, let's break this down, shall we? Number one, it's the foundation for rule of law. The idea that leaders must obey the law helped shape the American belief that no one, not even the President of the United States, is above the law. Number two, it influenced American documents, very key documents. The Magna Carta influenced American colonies and the Founding Fathers when they created the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. For example, the right to a fair trial, protection from unjust imprisonment, and the idea of due process all have roots in the Magna Carta. So in a nutshell, the Magna Carta was like the first step towards democracy. It planted the seed for ideas about freedom, fairness, and limited government, ideas that grew strong in America and became the heart of its government and legal system. In total, about 25 original manuscripts of Magna Carta from various periods exist worldwide, including the Harvard discovery. Only 3 reside outside Britain. Nicholas Vincent noted the discovery was quite timely, given Harvard's recent experiences with political pressure. Nicholas stated, and I quote, In this particular instance, we are dealing with an institution that is under direct attack from the state itself. So it's almost provincial that it has turned up where it is at this particular point in time. End quote. Vincent emphasized Magna Carta's enduring relevance in an era when democratic norms faced growing challenges worldwide. The charter, he explained, establishes that the head of state cannot simply go against somebody because he doesn't like them. He has to do it using the law. The document's influence extends deep into American statute. Vincent pointed out that Magna Carta's text appears within 17 state constitutions across the United States, meaning there is more of it in American state law than there is in the United Kingdom. To contextualize the discovery's significance, Professor Vincent compared finding an original Magna Carta to uncovering a previously unknown masterpiece of Johannes Vermeer, the Dutch artist known for his extraordinary limited surviving life work of just 36 paintings. Both professors paid a visit to Harvard Law School in June of 2025 to personally examine the document, a moment Professor Vincent said was very emotional for him. This direct encounter with a physical artifact connecting them to medieval England represents the culmination of a scholarly journey that began with pixels on a screen and evolved into confirmation of an authentic historical treasure. Harvard's unexpected Magna Carta represents more than a curiosity or valuable acquisition. It embodies principles that continue to shape legal systems worldwide and provides a tangible link to the long struggle for rights and freedoms that defines world constitutional development. The document's discovery illustrates how historical treasures can remain hidden in plain sight, awaiting the trained eye to recognize their significance. It underscores the vital importance of digitizing projects that make rare materials accessible to scholars globally, without which this identification might never have occurred. As institutions like Harvard Law School continue preserving and sharing historical documents, they ensure that foundational texts remain available for study and inspiration. The principles outlined in the 723-year-old parchment, that power must be constrained by law, that citizens deserve protection from arbitrary authority, maintain relevance across centuries of political development. For Harvard Law School, housing one of only 3 Magna Carta originals outside the United Kingdom represents a tremendous responsibility and an extraordinary educational opportunity. This single sheet of aging parchment, purchased for less than the price of a modest dinner in today's currency, has transformed from an overlooked manuscript into a priceless connection to legal history's most iconic document. So what can we learn from this story? What's the takeaway? There's a saying that freedom requires vigilance. The story reminds us that liberties enshrined centuries ago still need defending. Professor Vincent notes that the Magna Carta's message that even leaders must act within the law resonates especially when legal norms are tested. In short, the rediscovery is not just about a rare artifact, it's a timely reminder that the principles of justice, rule of law, and liberty endure, and often depend on the quiet but essential work of scholars, librarians, and institutions. Well, there you go, my friends. That's life, I swear. For further information regarding the material covered in this episode, I invite you to visit my website, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, for show notes and the episode transcript. As always, I thank you for the privilege of you listening and your interest. Be sure to subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And we'll see you soon.